Well, today was finally the big day when I would be having my Coleman Fat transfer operation done by the amazing Neil Bulstrode, and I couldn't wait. It was so exciting, as like all my operations had been, to be honest. The four of us, me, my mum, my dad and my little sister, began our drive down to Great Ormond Street Hospital very early that morning. Yeah, it's so early I can't remember what time it was, because it was, like I say, so early. But hey, it's fine. The drive down was quite good, with my little sister being as lively as ever and just making the whole journey funny, really. Mucking about such a thinking Cafe Nero. We're called Cafe Nerd. So yeah, we're just all having a good light laugh and that. And yeah, and just being silly, really. So that made the journey less boring. I'm not saying the day was boring or anything, but sometimes driving into London, not that we actually do it all that often, it's only ever really, days like operation days and that we do. As yeah, you've got like loads of people trying to get like commuting to work and that, and yeah, it can be a nightmare with traffic and that. So yeah, we don't really do it all that often. Yeah, so yeah, it can be quite a lot of traffic at times. And if you haven't like really got anything to do, the journey can be quite boring, to be honest. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. It has to be said, it wasn't the best journey ever, but it definitely wasn't worse. Anyway, eventually we're a bit more with it by the time we made it through London and to Great Ormond Street Hospital. After being up since silly 8 o'clock this morning, me and my mum quickly got out of the car, gathered my bits for the day, as I'd be discharged later today, and then quickly said our byes to my little sister and my dad. And then saying bye back to us, and then my dad wishing me good luck as always, which I find really cute and sweet. And then me and my mum headed into the entrance of Great Ormond Street Hospital, and this time, like for the first time, it's just us two that went down to Dinosaur Ward, as my dad had to go home to take my little sister to school. Like, that's if he could actually get her in, like she'd refused to go in this morning as she found it unfair that I was having the day off school, but hey, not that I'd actually chosen to, well, technically I had, I suppose, but not that I'd actually chosen to, go in hospital for an operation, but, she decided no, she wanted the day off and that, but hey, anyway, it's cool. I wasn't worried either way, how many people came to wait with me, as long as I had at least one of them, which I did, so all was cool. We headed down to Dinosaur Ward, just us girlies. I had to drive out with my mum as she didn't know where she was going, which I found pretty funny, how I knew it without even thinking about where I was going. I just went there, sort of thing, and just led the way. I also found it funny how as soon as we walked into Dinosaur Ward, the receptionist knew me and asked me how I was. It shows that I'm not at Great Ormond Street Hospital too often. And yeah, then we headed on through to the waiting room for my operation, because she knew who I was, she'd check me in. And yeah, which was all fine. The only thing that was different was that I didn't have Gaynor looking after me, although she was around on the ward, but like she's busy with her patient. And yeah, she didn't see me and my mum sitting there, but that's fine. I found it quite funny but cute when a training nurse had to do my cream. Like, that always had before my operation, with numbing your hands, you don't feel the cannula going in your hand. Bless her, she's trying so hard, and she did say she hadn't done one before. So, I was patient with her, thinking, well, everyone's has to start somewhere. I wasn't bothered if it took a few attempts, because I was used to having them anyway, and it's only a bit of cream anyway. And yeah, I thought, well, she's learning. The first one, bless her, went completely wrong. I think she got a little embarrassed about it, and then with the second one, I had to pretty much tell her and guide her on how to do it, which I found quite funny, how I could tell a training nurse how to do it as well. I don't know, I guess it shows just how much I've been around hospitals and, the number of operations I've had, and I guess it shows you know more than you think, like, without realising it. I mean, the training nurse was really grateful and thankful that I helped her to do it, which is really sweet. Yeah, also one of the play specialists on Dinosaur Ward came round to keep everyone entertained and offered art things, books, and a load of other stuff, which I thought was quite a nice idea really, especially for the young ones. Waiting for surgery can be quite a long wait, and I suppose especially so if you're little and it's a new experience and you're hungry and you're tired and whatever. So yeah, I always think that's a great idea to take the little kids' minds off of it. Yeah, I took her up on the offer of some art stuff really. I'm never sure why though, as I'm really rubbish at art and I take after my dad. Not a good thing, by the way. Yeah, and I never do art and crafty type things unless I'm in hospital. You know, I seem to all of a sudden just love it. It's bizarre really, huh? But yeah, so I took her up on the art stuff as well as a load of free books that she said I could keep, which was really sweet of her. With this operation I ended up having to wait quite a long time until a nurse came over to do my height, my weight, my temperature. And then soon after I had a doctor I didn't recognise come over to talk to me and my mum. I can't actually remember what about, but yeah, I remember thinking something was wrong, as this hadn't happened before. Usually a doctor only comes to talk to you like if you're not well for the operation or something, like from the tests they do. So I obviously was hoping it wasn't anything like that. Thankfully I was able to have my operation that day and it wasn't anything like that. Yeah, a while later I had a visit from one of the anaesthetists who did my anaesthetic for my first stage of rib graft and thought I was in today for the second stage. So me and my mum explained how I'd already had that one done, and yeah, basically just chatted about how it all went and showed her my completed it, and she commented on how good Neil Bull's work was, which me and mum both had to agree on. Not because we felt like we had to, but because we completely did actually agree with what she was saying. And I always find it amazing and really sweet when staff remember you, especially when you haven't seen them in a while or they just know you from like signing into an appointment or whatever. Yeah, I've always find that amazing as when you think of like how many children they must see and their families like per day and per month and per year and that, and yet they still remember you. Pretty spectacular really. I don't know how they do it in honesty. And yeah, my mum told her about my reaction to the morphine, so she said she'd give me something else so that I didn't have the reaction to the morphine again, but just in case I was going to be given it, because we didn't know if I was going to have it or not. And usually a little while after this you're told to go and get changed into your gown, and then you're taken down to feast by one of the nurses, but this time around that wasn't the case. In fact, everyone in the waiting room went down like I can't say the word I'm trying to think of. Went down for their surgery and my cream had to be taken off, and they nearly had to redo it again because there's a delay in theatre. So obviously I had to wait for the updates from the staff on the ward, although I think they probably got annoyed with my mum keep asking if they knew anything, because it's literally just me and my mum in the waiting room. Literally everyone else had gone. There's a couple of nurses walking around, but other than that it was deserted. And yeah, everyone else had gone. So yeah, this was the result of us just sitting in the waiting room, bored, tired and hungry, which I'll put the pictures in just a second. And yeah, I'll add them in at the end because I'm rubbish at, I'm just rubbish at like editing videos and stuff. So otherwise, if I was really clever, I would stop, put the pictures in, carry on. So yeah, I'll put the pictures in at the end of the video. Yeah, there were more pictures than the ones I'll put in at the end, but I don't know what happened to them or where they went. But if I find them, I'll add them in another video or something. But yeah, we just sat there mucking around with the camera, taking various pictures of one another and of us both, just to kill the time and our boredom. Plus, some of the photos were actually quite funny. Well, it did the job of killing the time anyway. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, and I think my mum got through a whole book like while we were waiting. I'd played various games on the game machine, read various magazines, a bit of a book, did some art stuff, and some sitting talking to mum. Oh, and a phone call with my dad. Well, in honesty, he wasn't. When he rang, he thought I would have either been back from surgery or like just coming out of it, sort of thing. He wasn't expecting me to still be waiting. As like he actually thought I was in the theatre at the time, but no, I still wasn't. I was still waiting. Also, my hearing was quite bad. My mum had to switch sides, so she sat on my left side, I'm not sure what happened to my hearing there, but yeah. Around 3 PM we had the phone call to say they were ready for me in theatre. I think we'd actually been waiting since about 7 o'clock that morning. So it was a really big relief when I finally was handed my gown and quickly went off to the toilets to get changed. That was quite something really. And yeah, I think it's just a sigh of relief for us both really. And then I fled down the corridors to the theatre with my mum. My teddy that comes everywhere with me. Like, and I don't really care if he does, to be honest, because it's just something I've always done since I was little. I've always had him since a young age. He's always come everywhere, so yeah, he came with me then. And then one of the male nurses led us down to the theatre. And yeah, it wasn't that long a walk, but I don't know, it always feels longer than what it really is, I think, when you're going down to theatre. I don't know what I don't know, what do you guys who have had surgery think? Let me know in the comment bar down below. Yeah, I then as usual got up on the bed and sat there waiting, like in the anaesthetic room, waiting quietly for the anaesthetist and her team to come in and start the process off. While waiting, me and my mum had minimal conversation with the male nurse, which was alright really, although I must admit it felt a bit weird not having Gainer there, but it didn't really matter too much. The anaesthetist explained how due to my age I might get a little bit like ill, like from the medications and that, and yeah, I might get more ill than you would normally with an operation and medications. So she said she'd give me some additional medications such as an anti-sickness one, as well as obviously the ones put you to sleep and some other ones, so that I wouldn't become ill during the operation or the recovery, which is obviously fine by me. Now, things weren't so straightforward in getting me to sleep with this operation. That's where I'd had the cream or the numbing cream, whichever you want to call it. Yeah, where it'd been on for so long, it had completely numbed my hand. So it was hard for them to find my veins, as usually they just hold your wrist, tap on your hand, and they can see the veins to put the cannula in. They couldn't actually see my veins, which made it a bit more complicated to actually get the cannula into me, which I just stayed calm about, as I knew, hey, if it didn't work, someone else would try it, or there would be other options. And yeah, they attempted it several times, and then started putting some of the medications in and monitoring me and asking if I could feel it going up my arm, which I couldn't. And I think eventually I had about 6 of the needles sticking in my left hand. Yeah, my left hand. Yeah, and then yeah, some of them even started falling out, which I couldn't feel any of this because obviously my hand was numb, which I found really funny. And I had about 6 or 7 people all trying to help poor anaesthetist to get the needles into my hand, like into my vein and that. And yeah, others taking over trying to do it again with no success, and then they actually had to call like a doctor or someone in. Yeah, who said to me to stay calm, which I was anyway. And he then got 2 people to hold my wrist. He began then tapping at my hand with no luck to see my veins, and then asked me to clench and open my fists, which didn't work either. And they then have been talking about trying it in my other hand. God knows how, but eventually I actually managed to get it in my hand without having to swap to the other hand. Yeah, they kept a real close eye on it, like just to make sure the medications were actually getting into my veins and doing their job. Which then they eventually did, and I was off. And I will see you soon in my next vlog. And yeah, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe and share, and I will see you soon. Bye!